We're very excited to have Huddly joining us today. Huddly designs and builds award-winning cameras and collaboration tools, and they're now bringing their industry-leading AI and elegant design principles to the L1, a smart camera for large rooms. So with that, Michael, I'd like to hand things off to you.
Well, thank you very much, Jordan. I definitely appreciate the time and forum that you and your team have put together for us, and the opportunity for us to present our brand new first look at the Huddly L1 smart camera for large rooms. Today's agenda, I'd like to start off with an overview of the Huddly L1 and go over some of the unique identifiers or the differentiating factors that the Huddly L1 brings to the market. Then we'll explore or review some of the connectivity options that we have using Ethernet and then a network adapter, and some mounting options that we have as well. Our mounting options are going to be using a Huddly bracket, of course, like true lineage of all of our product lines. We have a 1/4-inch screw thread, so you can mount it on any tripod or aftermarket mount that you like. But this is going to be the special part of this demo. This is a very rare occasion that we're able to introduce our home office live from Oslo, Norway, our VP of product development. And then afterwards, we'll finish off and be complete with a Q&A session. But just to give you an idea, right now I'm presenting to you in your gallery over the Huddly IQ with a 5 beamforming microphone array effective up to 20 feet. And then the Huddly Canvas, which is the IQ chassis, purpose-built with different software, since all of our cameras are software-defined with 0 moving parts. We've loaded Canvas software on here. You can see that there's a huge light source bouncing in off of through my window, bouncing off of my whiteboard through my IQ feed here. But on the Canvas feed, we've done an outstanding job of despeckling, deglossing, deskewing, and image boosting the video feed there. But to start off, I'd like to begin with an overview of the Huddly L1 smart camera for large rooms. The Huddly L1 smart video for large rooms is purpose-built, designed to give the most outstanding world-class user experience for collaboration rooms, for hybrid environments, so that way in-room participants can see clearly on their in-room displays, and across the wire on the far side, you have beautiful imaging and making sure that everybody is clear and able to be seen within the frame of view that Huddly provides. The L1 has a really unique feature set. First and foremost, we have a 1-inch image sensor. The CMOS processor is going to take an analog source like a human and digitalize it through our custom all-glass lens, and staying true to our form of our heritage with the IQ, the Huddly One, and the Huddly Go. Again, 0 moving parts, all software defined as far as programming for use case scenarios. The Huddly L1 is perfect for large and deep rooms up to 32 feet long and 16 feet wide, but the power behind the lens is going to be the Intel inside, the Movidius Myriad X VPU, and coupled with the world-class engineering and AI programming to give you feature set such as genius framing. So if you see in this video off to the upper right-hand corner, we have participants moving about within a room, and the machine learning will be able to detect where people are and then appropriately frame and capture everybody in so that way it's a pleasant view. If you also notice that at the front of that table in the upper right-hand corner, you can see the grains of the table, the people in the front of the view and also in the back view are all in focus. And that's our fixed focus technology, which is a unique identifier and something that's very special that we offer into the conference room that seems to be sole source at this point. In the bottom right-hand corner, if you see what the L1's seeing, you can see a shadow or a grayed out area. That's the full frame of view. So Huddly has 3 video streams, one wide, one narrow, one midway, and one narrow. So everybody's going to be detected within the field of view if they are, for instance, in a manual PTZ fixed frame. People flanking in the grayed out shaded areas would still be counted for analytics and people count. But if you notice in the bright area, the bright rectangle in the middle, it is full chroma, and that's the frame of view that Genius Framing offers to the general public. The analytics, the Intel Myriad X processor that we have as far as the brains of the camera platform has people count integration with, for instance, Azure's Power BI. We have SDKs available, so you have, if you have programmers on site, a specialized centralized management program, we offer up the SDK as an open source architecture and methodology. It's hosted on GitHub. We have examples of APIs available. So if you wanted to integrate with your own systems, then by all means, feel free to. Additional analytics that are useful with this technology is going to be room usage for return on investment analytics that maybe the CFO or facilities manager or director of operations may want to take into account when it comes time to parsing out rooms or building more rooms or seeing if they're more huddle type rooms or large room environments, just because the way the world has changed within the last 18 months. Room occupancy is really nice too, so that way we can see from an analytical standpoint, an organization can see the usage or the effectiveness of the rooms, or they can also see if the room has just been previously vacated, so that way cleaning crew can go in and sanitize it, get it clean and ready for the next group scheduled to be in that room. And another feature set is having people count, then you know how many cups of coffee to bring to the room too if you needed it. On the VPU, the Myriad X processor, there's a whole lot of processing going on at 30 frames per second. Our image sensor, it's a 1-inch CMOS image sensor for low lighting or just different types of lighting environments. It's going to take an analog source, digitalize it into binary, and then we apply our first AI function, and that's portrait lighting. We're the first of its kind to bring into the conference room, because typically portrait lighting is something that you get within ubiquitous type AI-enabled operating systems like a iPad Pro or an iPhone 12, but we're able to take this technology and do facial enhancements, then white balance, and then 3D noise filtering, just in case there's some electronic static. And then we sharpen the image. Then after that image is sharpened, then we apply a machine learning artificial intelligence layer to do that proper genius framing. So that way you have fully automated, all electronic, no 2-axis motors, no lens that's spinning in and out for zoom. It's all 100% electronic, but all that programming and effort has gone in to give you the final image. And that final image is the best in class imaging that we get with fixed focus. And that the purpose for fixed focus I mentioned earlier is so that way everybody in the foreground and everybody in the background and everybody in between stay in focus. So we bring the best to light. All this programming is 100% for the purpose of a high quality, best in class user experience. On the back side of the Huddly L1, you can see that there's a little chamber or a little cavity. That little cavity is to access the nestled in, built-in network interface card using an RJ45 Ethernet cable, which will give you flexibility on mounting and room design. You can span using Ethernet category 5E, 6, or 7 patch cable up to 100 meters to our network adapter. That's an OEM, all built by Huddly adapter, first of its kind, with some patents pending. This adapter will allow us to take power and video over the same cable, which is first in its class. So that's another unique identifier that Huddly brings to the table. Then it's bridged in, the network adapter is bridged into the local host in close proximity, whether you mount it behind your TV to your compute device or underneath the table if you have a room system like a Lenovo ThinkSmart Hub or an HP Elite Slice. Then it has a magnetic mount. It can mount in close proximity, patching in using a USB-C or USB-A cable. But this is a true IP camera and not a UVC camera. As soon as it patches in, it resolves the DHCP, and then it gets assigned an IP address, and then it has 100% TCP/IP configuration. If you go into your Windows DOS prompt, you can do an IP config all, and you can see that your local host will have one IP address, and then our network adapter will have another IP address. The diagram on the right-hand side, you can see that the Huddly L1 is connected via Ethernet cable, again, using a high quality category 5E or newer Ethernet cable. You can certainly source that through BTX because they are best in class for cabling. And then in addition to that, use the Huddly included USB 3.0 for USB-C or USB-A connection into the local host within your proximity. You can also see that we're infusing power into the adapter. This is a PoE camera, and we'll have true PoE later on, but at this point we have the Huddly first of its kind network adapter. The Huddly L1 is very flexible. Its form factor is compact, it's sleek. The ability to mount it in different places, you can mount it on a wall above or below the panel. It has a 180-degree perspective correction. So if you are mounting it upside down from a ceiling mount using the 1/4" screw thread, or if you want to hide the cable and mount it upside down so that way the cable goes behind the panel, regardless of how you do it, our 180-degree perspective correction, also with our de-warping, will get rid of the walleye that you normally get with wide angle lenses. So there's a lot of programming going on just right out of the box with our Huddly processing. The wall mount is can be affixed using the Huddly camera bracket. The Huddly camera bracket can be mounted to a wall, or you can mount it onto a table or a shelf using two appropriately length and size screws, depending on what media or what object you're trying to mount the camera onto. And we also have a on-display mount that affixes to the back of a panel. It's a bracket that mounts to the back of the panel, and then using our Huddly camera bracket, then it'll peer over the panel, and like you see in the right-hand corner. This is a profile silhouette of the Huddly L1, and it's beautiful. The crisp, clean edges, the large size lens. You can see the bevel. But then you can see the Huddly bracket. The Huddly bracket's mounted to the bottom of the L1 camera using that 1/4" screw thread that's integrated into the bracket. The bracket has 3 pivot points that can hinge in either way. So like for instance, right here, this is an example of the Huddly table mount configuration where it just stands nice and very elegantly on a credenza or on a table or on a shelf. If you manipulated the hinges, then you can wrap the Huddly bracket for a multi-purpose installation onto a wall, or you can have it angled downward and have it go right behind a panel above the panel on a wall as well. Inside the kit comes the Huddly L1 with the all-new Huddly network adapter, and the Huddly bracket with a power supply, Ethernet patch cable, and a USB-C and USB-A cable alongside with it too. Our system requirements, currently we have our drivers that are compiled for NTFS. Our executables run on Windows 10. In Windows 10 environment, just make sure that the local host or the compute device has a USB-C or USB-A 3.0 port, and also your call control of choice, whether it's Microsoft Teams or Zoom or whatever it may be. This is a really nice example of the Huddly L1 living in its natural environment. It's an all Huddly ecosystem. On the right-hand side, under the panel, you can see the wall-mounted Huddly L1 for the large room, primary cameras. And then we also have a secondary content camera on the left side of the graphic. Over the whiteboard, kind of like what I have here, it's the Huddly Canvas whiteboard camera. If you have any questions, or if you have a need for any type of marketing material or any type of collateral, please reach out to Ricky or Caleb Payne, and they can provide you with the materials that you need for distribution or cascading to different partners or customers. But here is the Huddly L1 in live form. It only expands out to 3 inches, so it's ADA compliant when you're mounting it to a wall. And if you notice, it's just really sleek, really elegant. If you mounted it upside down, you'd have 180-degree perspective correction. But then you can also see where we have the integrated RJ45 network interface card on the back of the camera. So the camera is really nice and neat and staying true to its form. You can see here it is in perspective with our product line. This is the Huddly Go. This is the Huddly One right here. And this is the Huddly IQ. And of course, I've got my Huddly Canvas here. So our product line is very slim, sleek, and elegant to look at. No moving parts, no motorized noise distraction, and no room for mechanical error. So that's the Huddly L1. Now it's my privilege to introduce to you from our headquarters home office in Oslo, our Vice President of Product Development, Øystein Grimstad.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you. That was a great presentation and great introduction to Huddly L1. We are super proud to introduce this product to the market and having made this product. Our design goal when making this product was that we wanted to introduce the smart, high-end or high-quality video experiences that we have on IQ to the medium and large rooms as well. So with that in mind, we wanted to design a product that had no moving parts, and we wanted to have the ability to instantly reframe the image. So basically what we had to do is what others do with motors, we had to do that in software. So this is a highly software-driven camera, and we do continuously ship new software updates to it. To capture the entire large meeting room, we had to design in a large image sensor. It's important in these large rooms that you get enough photons into the sensor so that you can get great lighting experience in the camera. We also had to pick a large pixel sensor. So in the L1, there's a 20 megapixel sensor processing the entire room. I want to demonstrate to you today the camera. So you are looking at me through the lens of Huddly L1. I wonder, Jordan, can you pin the video? Am I pinned? There we go. So now I'm in spotlight. You're looking at me through the lens of Huddly L1. The room I'm in is a room that we purpose-built for this camera. So basically we had to design sort of a target room for this camera. So this is a room, it's about, I think it's close to 10 meters deep. And we have a bit of a geometry challenge here in Oslo. So it's 4.5 meters wide. It should probably be a bit wider, but that's reality here, right? So with me here in Oslo, as Michael said, the camera is now focused on me, but sort of in the background, the camera can see everything that's going on in the room. So my colleague here, Øyvind, he is now entering the room and he's sitting down on the chair next to me. Now that he's settled in the chair, the camera will automatically zoom out and both me and Øyvind are in the frame of the image. And then I'm going to stand up and I'm going to start moving towards the end of the room. So in this room, obviously having a microphone array on the camera would not be a great experience. So we designed in a ceiling microphone array in the room. And so that's the audio pickup from me right now. What I'm demonstrating now is that I'm at about 7 meter distance. Eyvind is at, I don't know, 3 meters distance. We are both in focus because of the fixed focus feature in the camera. Eyvind, you can start moving back to me. And once Eyvind settles down or we're standing still, it will reframe and we are both framed in the image at this distance. And then I can start moving back to where I was sitting originally. And the camera will reframe again once we're back. And it will capture the two of us at the front of the room. So I think that's it. So thank you very much for letting us demonstrate this this camera for you. And I hope it was useful. With that, I'm passing the ball back to you, Jordan.
Thank you very much, Joystein. Definitely appreciate that demo. It was rock solid. I think right now, if we would like, I think there should be some Q&A sessions. And Jordan, if you'd like to moderate this, that'd be great.
Yeah, that sounds great, Michael. Thank you for that. And Joystein and Eyvind, thanks for joining us so late into the evening as well. So it looks like we have questions in the Q&A and also in the chat. We'll start with the Q&A and see how many we can get through here. So Trevor's asking, the web demo video shows the camera zoom out when additional people arrive and sit close to the camera. Can the camera zoom in when fewer people attend a meeting? Well, it seems like that really is what we just addressed there in live view, seeing how it automatically is framing the individual, and then that difference of frame of view versus field of view. When a second person enters, it'll zoom out and then return zoomed in when it's back to one person. Did we have anything else to add to that, or have we pretty much answered that one?
I think we did, yes.
Great. Okay. And does the camera have to be centered in any way for the automation to work, for the Genius framing to work?
No, it doesn't. It can be placed any place in the room. There's no requirements on that. Okay.
I know we had a question about potential thermal issues. We have the ventilation dots, but then I noticed that there seems to be ventilation on both top and bottom. Is that for the intent of so that it can be mounted upside down as well?
Yeah, so I can talk that. So the camera has been designed. So the thermal solution on the Huddly L1 is so that there is sufficient cooling in both directions. So that's not a concern.
Okay, great. In a classroom environment, let's say it was situated at the back of a class and facing an instructor. Would it function in that scenario where perhaps it could see the backs of students' heads, or would there be interference there?
So with Genius framing, Genius framing is designed so that it will pick up any person that's in the camera's field of view, and it will frame them. So if it sees one of the students as a person, it will also frame the students.
Okay.
Jordan, if I could interject on that one, I mean, if that's not a desirable function for Mark, who seems to be asking that question, they can use the Huddly app to disable Genius framing and manually frame the camera so that it's just looking at the teacher. Of course, it's not going to do any more framing at that point, but you can get a static shot that'll take care of most of what the teacher needs.
Good point.
Yeah, that's a great point. So not only can the Genius framing be turned off, but manually, if the goal is to zoom it in on the speaker, that can be done manually. The next question is also about Genius framing. It's a roadmap question. Jim Griffith is asking if there's plans to mask out areas where perhaps there's foot traffic outside of a window that we don't want to impact how Genius framing works. Any plans for that in the future?
So this is so I can just answer a bit generically to this, but this is one of the things that we do hear from several of our customers, and it's something that we are investigating in Huddly.
Okay. So when we know more, we will share.
Yeah.
All right. And Bill was asking about a built-in microphone or how audio is typically handled with the L1.
Yeah, so again, Michael, do you want to answer this one?
Sure. The Huddly L1 works great with beamforming arrays and beam tracking arrays that are ceiling mounted by partners like STEM Audio. So as far as integrating the microphone directly into the L1, that's not a feature set at this point, but it works great with partner technologies.
Okay. Okay. Is Huddly?
Well, can I just interject on the passersby through a glass? We have a built-in 5-second latency in the Genius framing, and that's effective. So that way, when you do have passersby, it's not going to just zoom in, zoom out. If that person now stands and stays there for 5 seconds, and then like peers in the window or has a conversation, then it does. But by and large, when most conversations are going on inside of a conference room, most people know to scoot past the window.
Right. Yeah, good point. Next question is probably for you as well, Michael. Trevor's asking, is Huddly working with any collaboration board manufacturers or perhaps developing your own?
No, right now we're singularly focused in on video capture at the highest quality user experience possible. And that actually makes us really laser focused in on what we do. So I think that's a huge benefit because as you can see with the L1 quality from the fixed focus, that's best in class. So we're really good at what we do.
Yeah, but I'll go ahead and jump in there. So any interactive board, again, is the different components that you would need for a conference room. You know, there's lots of great manufacturers out there that pairs well with us. Obviously, for the camera piece of the solution, you know, we're kind of biased towards, you know, our technology. But again, there's a lot of great companies out there, whether it's Avocor, Smart Technologies. You know, there's in focus a lot of other brands out there that have great boards to build in to the conference room solution.
Right. Okay. Next question is about the Barco ClickShare CX series. We've had a few questions about Barco ClickShare compatibility. And then Warren is also asking about MS Teams and Zoom certifications.
Well, we're in the final stages of Microsoft Teams Room certification. It's a long process, but we're in the finishing stretches, so that will come. Zoom Rooms, we have had a great relationship with Zoom Rooms on our previous products with full-on API integration, with people count analytics, Genius framing, and having full camera support. As far as Barco, ClickShare CX50, word on the street is that the L1 does work with it. I don't know if it's been fully vetted from Oslo yet, but I think time will tell on compatibility with other partners.
Okay, a few more questions. If anybody has more, feel free to use the Q&A or the chat. We're still going through the Q&A portion here. If only one person is talking, does it zoom into the person talking after framing the entire group?
No, so we're not using any type of auditory sensors in order to track or zoom in and out. The philosophy of the L1 currently is, Genius framing currently, is to capture all participants in the room in a single frame shot. The benefit to that is that the participants on the far side can actually read nonverbal communication cues of participants not speaking.
Fantastic. Okay. What is the equivalent zoom factor?
5x all digital zoom, and it's perfect for 32 feet depth, and that's the manufacturer's recommended spatial requirements, 32 feet by 16 feet wide. I think I'm not sure what the metric conversion is.
Okay. We have a question about, oh, you know what? We've addressed this one. Jim is asking with Genius framing, is PTZ supported by the native camera controls? So we know we can turn Genius framing off. We know we can zoom in manually, and then we can also adjust where that zoom takes place. Is that correct?
Correct, and that's a great example of a use case in a classroom, for instance. Somebody brought it up earlier. If you wanted to mount the L1 midway through and don't want to capture the back of participants' heads or the students' heads, and you just want to fix focus and fix frame all on the professor's podium, if they're moving from an analog whiteboard to an interactive whiteboard to a chalkboard, or different media, keep them all in frame. That's the purpose for manual zoom settings.
Hey, Jordan, if I can interject, and I'm going to throw this back at you again, Michael. They were specifically asking if the camera controls in like Zoom Rooms controller can control the zoom of the camera and NTR as well.
Not yet, but as far as Zoom Rooms controls, historically, if it repeats itself, they do have the ability to have presets and manually control EPTZ through the Zoom Rooms console. In Microsoft Teams Rooms, I have not seen that feature set as of yet with the IQ, so I'm not sure if it'll happen with the L1. I think that's going to be however the Microsoft and Huddly, or how Microsoft Teams Rooms operates.
Okay, so yes for Zoom Rooms, no for MTR.
I'll just share the news. So Huddly is working closely with both Microsoft Zoom and actually also Barco on developing new integrations, new solutions with all our products.
Okay. Have we tested, next question is about masks and causing any potential issues with the Genius framing. If participants are wearing masks, have we, do we know if that will impact how the Genius framing or any of the automation functions?
So in my experiences, just from doing live demos in different facilities, whether it's an end user or a reseller's environment, I would say about 99 to 98% accuracy, even when wearing masks. But I have seen 2 anomalies in the last 3 months to where it did not pick up. And I'm not sure if it's because the mask was about the same skin tone or color as the wearer or the participant. But it could have just been a glitch. I'm not sure, but by and large, it is detecting people with masks from my experience.
So I can just add to that. So our technology does not only detect faces, it detects people. So we're looking for the whole torso. We basically trained our AI to look for body parts, and we will frame the body parts that we find within the image. So I think that the framing should work just as normal with a mask on. I haven't seen these anomalies myself, but if you do see any unexpected behaviors there, then please raise a ticket with our support team.
Okay, terrific. Is there an API for the camera? Can you have presets for it?
Yes, we no and yes. So as I said, this is a very much software-driven camera. We are working. So this is part of the feature set that we are working with Zoom on. So yes, it's coming fairly soon.
All right. Could we talk about USB 2.0 mode? We have a question from Mark Burlow. Can we force the L1 into USB 2.0 mode? And what features are lost if we do so?
I can answer that one again. We do not currently support USB 2.0 mode on this camera. It has to do with the bandwidth limitations on USB 2.
Understood. Okay. All right, let me jump over to the chat here and see what other questions we've had here. Okay. From Daniel Small, everyone has their opinion about mounting a camera above or below the display. That being said, does the camera work better in one location versus the other?
Well, again, from my experiences, it works great. Genius Framing is able to detect participants in the room. And yeah, there has been a lot of recent chatter and debate from my experiences on whether they want a top-down look or upward look, depending on how that non-verbally communicates the dynamics of the room. I've even had some customers want to flank the panel off to the side. So this goes to the previous question about whether or not the L1 needs to be centered for it to work properly. So if they were to angle it to the side of the panel, then you get kind of an eye level 5.5 foot mounting size. And then that actually is preferable to some designers.
Okay, great. So it sounds like it's more about the design element of it, and that the AI in the camera is not overly sensitive to a very narrow sweet spot of height placement or anything like that.
Correct. The only deficiency that I've seen with Genius Framing is if everybody is on a conference room table and they're all in a single file line and they're hiding behind one head and the other heads, it's not going to be able to detect it. So if you notice in all of our video frames, when it does properly zoom in and out and do people count, it's because the faces and the bodies are all in the shot.
Okay. Thank you for that. Warranty on the L1. Could we talk about the warranty?
I believe it's a 2-year manufacturer's warranty like our Huddly IQ, but I'm not for certain.
And I can add that to my list. We'll make sure we have clarification on that in tomorrow's email. Okay, let's see. What is the largest whiteboard area that the camera can capture? Looks like we have a Canvas question there.
Well, in the Canvas, it's a 6x4 whiteboard. That's what it is honed into for best user experience. However, if you have it panned all the way out, we can actually capture about 7 feet by 4.5 feet wide on a visual capture.
Fantastic. Okay.
I love the Canvas question.
Yeah, your presentation at the beginning grabbed some attention. So resolution for the L1, I believe we already talked about this. Could you tell us the resolution one more time?
It's 20 megapixels, CMOS processing, so high resolution, 6K ready.
6K ready, okay. And is the resolution that is used on a call today, that's dictated by the host more than anything else, is that right?
The call control, absolutely. So they will down convert our resolution depending on which call control for bandwidth purposes and compression.
Okay, and we had a question about how the tracking is done, and I believe we've already spoken to this. Is the tracking done based off of facial recognition or just motion in the room that the camera sensor is picking up? I think this may be worth going over one more time.
So it's human form. So the machine learning, all the data that's been uploaded over time has been on human heads and bodies in the form. There's no facial recognition. There's no privacy issues that we have. Nothing stored on the camera. But it is going to detect heads and bodies, and that's how it frames. So, and it's not going to track based on auditory response. It's all visual tracking.
Okay. Will the L1 support Microsoft Teams' Smart Gallery feature?
Well, I think Smart Gallery is going to be agnostic to any content camera or any video camera. I think I'm not too sure about how the together mode works, but I think it takes that video stream and just populates the head into the auditorium chairs.
Okay, we can look into that one as well, just to double check. Another question about the integrated mic. We've already mentioned that there is no microphone in the L1. Barcode click share compatibility we've talked about as well. Okay, bear with me here, folks. We've got questions coming in from two different methods here, so I just don't want to leave any question out. USB 2.0, we've already discussed, it's 3.0 that is supported. Maximum room dimensions recommended. Have we discussed this yet?
32 feet by 16 feet. So that actually is a nice segue on if you're trying to design a room where the Huddly IQ may be a proper fit. The Huddly IQ has a wider field of view, 150-degree diagonal, and it's nice if you have a wide room that's shallow throw, where the L1 would be nice for a 16-foot wide or maybe slightly larger and then a deeper throw. So a longer, narrower room for the L1, a wider, shallower room for the IQ.
Yeah, and that was actually going to be my next question as well. We've had a few people ask about the IQ versus the L1, both in terms of performance and in terms of deployment. So you've just said quite eloquently about how, different case scenarios for each one. Deployment, I imagine, would be relatively similar. Is that right?
Well, currently the Huddly IQ is a UVC camera, so it's connected by a single cable, USB cable, where the L1 is a true PoE IP camera, so we have Ethernet connectivity. Now the canvas does span through an extender, just so that way we can mount it on a wall and have the USB-A attach into your room device at a distance. But they are different. One's going to be UVC and one's going to be IP.
All right. Okay, I'll just jump back to the Q&A here and see if anything new has been added. Is it TAA approved?
Well, it's all made in Norway and Poland, which are friendly countries. So everything has been manufactured there from my understanding. So it is compatible with TAA standards, manufacturing standards.
Correct, and this right here has been a real advantage, that we've had. So all of our cameras are made in TAA compliant countries.
Okay. Question from Glenn Kelly. Can the camera and hub both be connected to our network rather than directly to each other as separate network endpoints?
Currently, no. They work together in unison. So one end of the patch cable goes into the RJ45 network interface card on the L1, spans all the way to the network adapter to the RJ45 jack, and then it's patched in or bridged using the USB port. But eventually, it may be in the roadmap to have true PoE plus for both, but at least with the L1.
All right, great. Michael, have we grilled you enough?
Yeah, no, this is great. And I'm glad that Oystein's with me just because he knows a lot more about this product than anybody else. So it was a real pleasure to have him on board. And, unfortunately, I might have spoke a little too quickly for him, but also I recognize that it's the end of his day and I've got a lot of energy. So that's why I kind of jumped in and answered some of those questions.
You did well, Michael. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you all for jumping on here. To all the attendees, thanks for taking the time. We're going to go ahead and end things here and send out the recording, address any questions we didn't get to in tomorrow's email, but we really appreciate you taking the time to meet with us. I just posted a link to the product itself in the chat. It can be ordered now. And if you have any further questions, Michael, could we just pull up that slide one more time, if you don't mind, with both Kayla and Ricky's?
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry about that. I thought you were talking about the agenda slide on what we did, but let me get to the product portfolio.
And sure, I think a question popped up. So actually tomorrow, BTX already sold out of their first shipment of L1s, but we do have another batch that's shipping tomorrow from Oslo. So be sure to get your POs in if you want to get a product from that next batch.
And then here's the slide of our portfolio chronologically placed. We originally started off with the Huddly Go. Then we manufactured and launched the IQ, followed by the Canvas. The Huddly 1 is a nice work from anywhere kit. And then the Huddly L1, which is our flagship currently for large rooms. And it's the first of its kind to be built on a different chassis. But while I've got the liberty of having the canvas open, one of the things that I'd like to do is just show you how fast and responsive this is. So when you do have to evaluate different products, the programming in the L1 or the canvas is extremely fast. So however you want to look at it, when I turn around, it's gone. So that's a huge benefit that the canvas brings. It's all about the user experience in the Huddly L1. If you were to get it in your office or get it in your hands and evaluate it, you'll see that responsiveness and the quality of programming of the video feed is just second to none. But sorry for my pitch on the other products.
Hey, we were here to promote. We appreciate it. And honestly, it's great to see the Canvas live again. It's pretty incredible what you guys have done in terms of bridging the physical whiteboard and into meetings virtually. We're huge fans of it. And that product's also available at BTX. Look, we're going to let people get on with their day here and prepare for their next meeting. But thank you all so much for spending the time, everyone from Huddly, from BTX, and everybody else. We will follow up tomorrow and have a great day. Thanks.
Thanks, Jordan. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks, everybody.